You're listening to the Two Sleuth Podcast, all about the business of dentistry, hosted by yours truly, Greg Essenmacher, a fixable arch dental expert and founder of G&A Consult, speaking with industry leaders on the dental landscape from their perspective. Welcome back, everyone. Greg Essenmacher here, but you know who I am, so no need for me to do an introduction, but I am going to introduce my guest, none other than Dr. Michael Neal, who I am really excited to have on the show, but I'm not going to do the introduction. We've already had a really great pre-show introduction. He just got done running around like chasing his two boys around the house. I'm kidding. His boys are probably in school, but we did talk about running and we talked about a few things. Michael, please introduce yourself to my listening audience and tell them a little bit about yourself.
Oh, wow. Thanks for the high energy intro, Greg. I'll try and follow that. Let me just mainline some caffeine here, if you don't mind. So, boy, oh boy, I'm an entrepreneur trapped inside an optometrist body. That's how I would describe myself. I have part-time at our practice and then full-time at Build My Team. That's my software company. And we created a way to hire people without using resumes for the healthcare profession. On a personal side of things, like you said, two boys. Al Capone and his henchmen is how I would describe the two of them. Not joking. And then on a personal side, love running, love outdoor stuff, that type of thing.
I mean, Al Capone and his henchmen, you're speaking my language. You know, I love using the phrase like, it's always better if I got a guy. Right? Yeah. Goodfellas is my favorite movie. I'm from Detroit. I mean, you can go right down the list of why that speaks to me when you share that way about your boys for sure. But I want to get into this, building my team, building your team and doing it without resumes. We know that, I mean, it's been really exacerbated since COVID, right? And about the, building a team, I can't find good people or it's harder to keep good people. And we talk a lot about that at G&A Consult about how we're finding the team members that are coachable and trainable and full arch. But I want to hear a lot more about what you're doing with finding teams without resumes. You say that and you're going to grab people's attention. So let's dive into that, shall we? So frame it for us. Let's start there.
So where did this all come from and why the heck is an optometrist talking to the tooth sleuth? By the way, I had to practice that, as I said earlier.
And you did well. Very well done.
Great name. Yeah, you do something 100 times, you get it nailed. But so why am I doing this? Well, in our practice, we had every conceivable hiring problem, just like so many of your listeners. Thought, hey, maybe there's a better way to do this, because we were using traditional methods of hiring, posting a job, looking at resumes, bringing people in for interviews, sitting there staring into space, wondering about our life choices and why on earth we're doing this. And then, took a look at the other side of it and said, this is the most stressful thing that we do in our practice, is trying to find terrific people. And I feel like no matter what happens, I cannot possibly do any better than whack-a-mole. Grab that big padded thing, whack something, maybe it pops up, maybe it doesn't. That's what it felt like. Over and over. And so took a look at how companies like the Four Seasons, Disney, companies like that are doing their hiring. And what I found out is that they aren't hiring the same way we were. They had a completely different process and approach to it. And that's when we took a look at their approach, modeled ours after it. It changed a bunch of stuff that made it specific and far more effective for healthcare. And then started using it in our practice. And that led to friends wanting to use it, led to more than friends. And next thing you know, we're in over 40 states in the US.
I mean, I love that. One of the things that I try to do, and try is probably the key word for me to hone in on here, right? Try, right? Not like with Yoda, there is no try, there's just do, right? And I'm bastardizing that phrase and probably going to have to pay royalties, to George Lucas and that franchise eventually if they pick up on it. Mm-hmm. It's really about, you don't have to recreate the wheel, right? Look at best practices, and that's what we do as well, right? You look at the best practices and then you modify and adjust, adapt, and then adopt to whatever it is that your field is or whatever is specific to what you're trying to figure out.
Right.
And that's what I'm hearing you say, right? You look at Disney, you look at all the best hiring practices, right? Why is it that people are willing to pay pretty much, a mortgage payment to take a family of 4 for 3 days to a Disney park? and it's
Right.
consistent, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why is it that, everybody everywhere, there isn't I was going to say a cigarette butt. Wow, that's really going to age me, right? But why is it that there isn't a wrapper anywhere, on the ground when you go to a Disney park, right? That's
Yeah.
why you tolerate what you tolerate as far as fees, and everything that you pay. And that's what I'm hearing you say. You took the best of and you applied it to healthcare for your teams and systems. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, however, we didn't start there. I mean, it was the bumpiest of all rides. Everybody thinks this is like a straight shot up. It was none of the above. We started out trying to buy a solution to the problem, didn't work. Tried to buy a couple solutions, didn't work. Tried to stitch together solutions, didn't work. And we had to create some. We had to, we had to customize the heck out of it. And now we're able to hire folks for our clients, find the candidates for them to hire as clients. And we're able to do that with about a 97% certainty.
Well, I mean, you say the word customize and you're really after my own heart. We talk a lot about this, that we customize all of our solutions for our clients, right? That scripts don't work when it comes to converting lead calls into consultations that actually show up in full large. So customization is everything.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about what this looks like. If you have a 97% success rate, what are you gauging that against? That they stick around for 6 months or longer? What is that 97% success rate for? Because I know my listening audience wants to know what that means.
Yeah, we reject almost 97 between, depending on the position, 97% on average of the candidates. We don't look for the best candidate, which is a little odd to hear. We reject everybody we know cannot do the job. And then from the finalists, we refine those using a video interview and a one-way video interview, so it can't be manipulated. And then from those, our team picks the absolute cream of the crop for the candidates. It's a predictable, reliable way for dental practice to find the A players that they've been looking for.
Gotcha. And what positions are you hiring for?
Anything that's not licensed. So we're not hiring dentists. Big sigh from a whole bunch of people listening to this. We don't hire hygienists. In some states we can do FDAs, depending, of course. But we're looking at the clinical team members, the administrative team members, like the front desk, the dental techs, billing, practice managers as well, all those folks. And by doing that, we can bring those A players to the table reliably. And as far as the positions go, they stay at over a 90% rate, well over 6 months. That's not normal in practices, of course. So it becomes something that is very valuable to practices. Doesn't cost much, but on the other hand, our team is incredibly excited and happy to help these folks because it's how we deliver better care remotely for these practices.
Gotcha. And so we're down in the talking specifics, I think. So let's bring it back out to a 10,000 foot view. I have my perspective on what I've seen with staffing and recruiting, and for our clients that we've worked with, and we've worked with a number of recruiters, and I want to try to be kind, even though most of my listening audience knows that, I'm very direct and I speak my mind when it comes to that. And it just has not been the most pleasant of experiences or the most successful. And so we do a lot of team development and structuring and doing a lot of the interviews ourselves. And we do all right, right? We do what we do because we're looking for very specific, in Full Arch, we look for very specific things, coachable, trainable, and oftentimes we're bringing from outside the dental industry, right?
Oh yeah.
Having a dental assistant or a hygienist, try to be a treatment coordinator in Full Arch or working the lead calls. Typically it doesn't work out that well because they get too clinical, and we don't need people who are clinical because it's not so much the what, it's the why, right? It's the motivation of the patient when it comes to Full Arch and being successful. And so we know that formula fairly well, and we vetted it fairly well, and we know, and so convincing our clients and saying, there's a better way to skin a cat here, right? So from your perspective, talk to me about what you've seen as far as staffing in the industry in general. And of course, I'm talking very niche, right? Full arch.
Mhm.
But in general, what have you seen in the dental industry, in staffing? Speak to my listening audience about that, of why the need has been created for what you've created, being in 40 states, and what really your solution that you're bringing to the market.
Well, right off the bat, we don't look at resumes for our hiring. We're using an approach that assesses their natural strengths and talents. So, in terms of the dental market, oh boy, post COVID, well, double oh boy, triple oh boy, cubed. Uh, Eye care took it hard. The other allied health professions took it hard, but dental, oh boy. I mean, it got clocked. The the main thing we saw, not the best, most exciting story, but hygienists, mercenaries. One mercenary would leave for a practice for 50 cents an hour or more. Like, it was really, really bad. And practice after practice had a noose around their neck because couldn't lose the hygienists, couldn't get new hygienists, couldn't get them trained fast enough. So many just left the profession, just up and decided to go do something else. It was, I mean, I'm not a dentist, but boy, oh boy, did I feel for the whole profession there. So that's what we saw right after COVID. Has it improved? Yes. Has it gone back to pre-COVID levels? I don't know that anybody said that.
Yeah, and I've noticed with the hygienists, and one of the big passions that I have in Full Arch is, of course, case acceptance and
Yeah.
treating more patients. I mean, when you look at the numbers, I think last I saw was 36 million edentulous patients around the country. I mean, the need is tremendous out
Hmm.
there. But a big passion of mine is really hybrid maintenance, right? So many of these fixed full arches out there, and who's really maintaining them, taking care of them, the investment in, because typically, right? Broad general statement alert. Typically, the
Hmm.
patients that are having this treatment done aren't in the best oral health care in general
Right.
and haven't been taking care of it. So now we're going to give them a solution and saying, oh, now they're really going to, they're going to
Hmm.
change their ways, right? That's like, I'm not going to go. I was going to give an analogy that was really bad. I've been sober for 20 years, so I was going to give a really bad analogy about, yeah. So take the crack pipe away from the crack addict,
Yeah.
and give them. I was going to
Hmm.
give that. I was going to go down that path. I'm not going to do that,
Yep.
Michael. But so certainly with the hygienist, and what I've heard, right, certainly over the last little bit, last 6-8 months, is that in some areas specifically as well, that it has gotten better. It hasn't
Right.
gone back to pre-COVID times, but
Hmm.
it has gotten better, or at least it's what I've heard really is that it's gotten more reasonable. That's
Hmm.
really more of the flavor, more of the terminology that I'm hearing
I would
from
agree with that.
practices and groups.
Yeah.
Yeah, that it's
Yeah. I would
gotten
definitely
more
agree with that.
reasonable. Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's what you're seeing, that's what you're hearing, that's what you're acknowledging with clients that you're working with.
Yes. And then on the administrative team member side of things, again, COVID made a lot of those folks realize that they could get paid to stay home. And then after COVID, get paid to do something from home. So it took a large number of the folks willing to do the administrative team member roles, front desk, dental techs, whatever it might be in a practice, treatment coordinators, billing, all of those things. It took a lot of folks out of the workforce. Now, some of that's recovered, but in general, the workforce is much lower. Just the number of people willing to do healthcare jobs in general is much lower than it was before. I'd estimate somewhere in the realm of 30-40%, depending on the profession. That's a huge
So
number.
yeah, absolutely. So I'm curious, since you're steeped in this area, building out the business in this area, an optometrist. See, now you practice tooth sleuth. I should have practiced the word optometrist, right? Because that's not even an easy word. People are blow me up on socials. People, I'm fine. You always do anyway. Whenever I get to a word and they won't edit it out, optometrist. Say it 3 times very fast, Greg. So I'm curious, you know, what is your take, since you are so steeped in recruiting and finding talent and building teams? What is your take on AI, right? Because we're hearing so much about it, and
Yeah.
I'm not as well versed on AI, at least in the recruiting realm, and sifting through resumes. And I know that you don't really work with resumes, but how
Mhm.
that's competing with what you're doing, with what your team's doing, and how that's affecting staffing and bringing in team members.
Yeah.
What's your take on all of that?
Oh, that's a huge umbrella level question here. It's
Yeah, I
amazing.
usually throw things out that are going to stir things up that you weren't prepared for.
I'll tell you what, Greg, it's amazing and horrible simultaneously, depending on which side of the fence you're on. From a
Yeah.
candidate standpoint, you can have a conversation, a verbal conversation with AI, and it'll write a resume for you. Don't worry about accuracy. It doesn't need to be even at all. You can cook the whole thing up. From the employer standpoint, it is bordering on disaster level. And here's why. This was probably about 6, 7 months ago. Somebody showed me a company that submits your resume to jobs. Now, just follow the math on this, because this is something that's going to make your palms sweat as a practice owner. It wrote the resume for you, then it submitted the resume to over 40,000 companies.
40,000, you
40,000
said.
companies. The
Wow.
guy got a point, it's either 0.15 or 0.015 response rate for interviews across industries. Like, this wasn't an industry. It wasn't dental practices around the country. It was across all industries. This dude gets these interviews. He has no idea who the company is, has never heard of the company, had to research the company if he did at all, who knows, and is sitting across from an interviewer who legitimately thinks the guy's interested in the company, interested in the position, interested in the fellow's never heard of you at all.
Wow.
He had nothing to do with the application process. Now, is that an extreme example? Yeah, by definition, it's ridiculous. And I think it was about $30 is what it cost the guy. So, and when you're doing the hiring, like, our approach isn't affected by that, because we're not looking at the resumes to begin with. When you apply for one of the positions with our clients, you get a text message. The text message asks you to go through our assessment process. It takes 10 to 15 minutes. By the time that's done, we know what you're amazing at. We know your strengths and talents. We know how you handle stress. We measure how fast you learn. That's really important, because if you want people without experience, they got to learn really quickly, or else you're going to be living the Bill Murray Groundhog Day, which we all know because we've done that before on the practice hiring side of things. It makes you want to drop that toaster in the tub like he does in that movie, just over and over. But we're not using resumes. And so AI minimally affects what we're doing. From a regular hiring standpoint, best of luck. You're going to need it, because these platforms are measured by how many interviews you're offered. They don't at all take into consideration wasting anybody's time. It is not part of the equation.
I mean, I can draw a parallel right here and now with what we do at G&A Consult, right? In the full arch game. It's the same as, they don't care about the quality of the lead that
Right.
comes in
Mm-hmm.
to be able to convert to a consultation, to convert to a start, to put
Right.
revenue, right? Top line and then bottom line into your full arch for your practice, right? Your
Right.
practice that you have. It's just the number of leads that come in from the marketing dollars that you're spending. I'm drawing the parallel with what you're talking about, right? That with these AI, it's just the number of resumes that come in for the ad that you're posting on Indeed for a dental assistant in your practice. And what you're doing is, you're all about what's the quality of the candidate that's coming through the door. And it's so challenging to change the paradigm, to change the mindset of the clients that we work with, to go from the marketing companies out there that are saying, but look at the number of leads we're getting you. You spend $10,000, you're getting 200 leads, to you're spending $10,000, you're getting 37 highly qualified leads. And of those, 17 are booking consultations that are highly qualified. And of those, 15 show up. And of those 15, 13 are highly financially qualified, not by excluding, but because do Do you hear what I'm saying? Like, is this landing?
Yeah.
Is this about what I'm
Greg,
hearing from what
you're
services? Because my next question to you was going to be, Michael, and I'm just going to call it out because people listening to this show, and they do it all the time. They're like, Greg, why didn't you ask this when I see them at conferences or out and about, or if I'm speaking from the stage, and they'll pull me aside after and say, when you were talking to that guy about blah, 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 or that gal, why didn't you ask this? I'm going to ask this. The investment in your service, right? I mean, and I know the cost of a new hire and having to train somebody new. I know all that, right? Because we're a premium service as well, right? We're not like a mile wide, right? We're a mile deep with our clients, and that's what we choose to do. And it's a business decision. So let me ask you the investment in your service, because it sounds like it has tremendous amount of value. And I'm not blowing sunshine. I'm seriously saying that because I mean, the monotony, and not only the financial cost, right? There's three things that are limited in life and in business: time, talent, and treasure, right? And what are you going to spend and what are you going to give up? Because it's not just the financial impact to a practice when they keep having churn. It's also the morale of the business, and it's also the reputation you get, and it's also the patient's experience if they keep coming back for it and they keep getting somebody new over and over. So tell me, what does that investment look like with your company? What does this look like if somebody's listening and saying, okay, I kind of like what I'm hearing, and I've been through a bunch of recruiting companies, and I'm kind of tired of that, the round, the carousel over and over and over again.
So right off the bat, our service is affordable. We're usually told that it's very affordable. We have two pricing models. One is based upon a one-time hire, where you want to try us out, make sure we're not all hype.
Shysters.
We aren't.
I'll call it. Yeah, if we're going to go back to the Al Capone comment from the beginning.
Oh, absolutely. Oh my goodness. That's so funny. Yeah, to make sure, right? And the second way we work with our clients is through a membership program. So most of our clients want us to, once they realize that we do one thing over and over exceptionally well, and we don't do anything else. Like you said, a mile deep and super narrow. We are the definition of narrow. But when they want us to take over their finding these people for them, it's a much lower fee with a very small monthly fee. Very small. That's it. It's a flat fee. So if we can find somebody for your practice at $17 an hour, or somebody at $25 an hour, we're going to find the person at 17 because you're going to work with us again. You see what I mean? So every single incentive we have as a company is to knock it out of the park for you with finding these supremely talented, incredibly well-matched people for the roles. And this isn't guessing. This isn't recruiting in any, I hate the R word. It's nothing like that. What we do is we match insanely highly qualified people based upon their strengths and talents with your position. We have algorithms for this. It takes us anywhere around 200 to 300 applicants for a front desk position to find some 2 to 3 people that are going to be outstanding. And I'll give you an example because this needs to be quantified. In our practice, we had 14 people working for the practice before Build My Team took over the hiring. It is approximately a little under 2 years later. We have, right now, we have 10. The gross income went up by 50% and the net income almost tripled.
Wow.
What? Yeah. So, okay, your listeners are saying, boy, this guy's full of it. I was called on this quite a while ago by a financial planner on an eye care podcast. He said he got feedback that it was too good to be true. So I said, okay, let's hop on a Zoom. We did, obviously not a public Zoom, showed him the tax returns. Because I didn't have any other way to prove it than this. The point is, anybody who's got A players on their team, like these really outstanding people on their team, they know this is what they do. The metaphor is to get the right people on the bus. We've all known that. Then you get them in the right seats on the bus. And then you get the map drawn out for where you want them to go, put the guardrails on, and get out of their way. Because these outstanding people, they don't need to be spoon-fed. You can fire yourself as a professional cat herder. You can fire yourself as a kindergarten teacher. You don't have to do any of that with these folks. It's a completely different way to enjoy your work day.
Yeah, I mean, you are speaking right to what I've been working with my team on at G&A Consult. It is we've literally been doing this now for quite a few weeks, and it's all about leveling up, right? Mm-hmm. Just level up. Whatever you're doing, wherever you're at, level up. Whether it's a vendor that you're using in whatever lane, whatever you're doing, whoever you're working with, level up. And that's what you're talking about. To go from 14 team members to 10, you leveled up those team members and what they were doing in roles and responsibilities. And whether you're providing for a client, the service that you're providing for a client, team members that you have, level up. And if you can level up, then you're doing well. So thank you for that reminder. And that was the validation that I needed, that was the phrase to keep going with. And so I'm going to use that. Thank you so much for that.
I couldn't agree more. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I think what you have to realize on the owner side of things is that the amount of time you are spending on your C and D players in your practice is so asymmetric to the amount of time you spend on the A players that I have a hard time describing in words what that looks like. It's not 80-20, Greg. It would be a gift if it was 80-20. You're talking 90 to 95, 10 to 5. It's that big of a deal. And it's hard to, it's hard to see what the top of the mountain looks like when you're standing at the bottom. But the folks who've got those supremely outstanding team members working with them, because they don't work for you, they work with you when you're that good. They know what it's like at the top of the mountain, and they would never do it any other way. So sometimes do they cost a little more? Yeah. But when you're looking at somebody who can do the work of 2 or 3 people reliably, when they show up for work every day, when they come in with the amount of energy you have for this podcast, and they leave with the amount of energy you have for this podcast, it's a completely different way of spending your day in your practice.
Yeah, and they don't cost you more. You just invest in them more, and you get back that 10x, right? I mean, and it's just so true, and I love that. Well, Michael, here's the point of the program. All of my guests play a little something called "What the Sleuth is Going On." 3 rapid fire questions. First thing that comes to mind. Are you ready to play?
I can't wait. Do I have a buzzer? Do I have to hit a buzzer or anything?
I mean, there used to be a buzzer, and I used to send it out to all my guests, and I could press it if I didn't like the answer. But then there was like this whole incident. I don't really want to talk about it. It was like in the pre-show when you said, do I run? And I said, just away from the police before I got sober 20 years ago, but we don't want to discuss that on a live show, like when it's recorded. But now I've said it, and they're not going to edit it out. So thank you for forcing me into something I didn't want to say. Thank you, Michael. I appreciate that. All right. Question number 1. That's not part of the shtick either. How did that get in there?
Boy.
Please, my editor, please, post podcast. Please, somebody cut that out. No, they're not going to cut that out. That's going to get some play too. All right. Question number 1, my friend. What's the worst bad breath you've ever encountered?
A patient. The bad breath was part and parcel with the rest of the package. After COVID, grabbed a mask, because in eye care we generally don't wear masks, and did virtually the entire exam from the door jamb because I was afraid to go into the room. And then the team came up behind me and followed, like a Secret Service agent, and followed the patient around, squirt, squirt with the air freshener.
See, that is one advantage of being in dental is you can wear the mask and it's totally okay. You can wear it everywhere. And you'd be like, oh, in dental or medical, there you go. Right. That is one of the things that, and, the other part is everybody was looking at themselves in a camera because of, everything went virtual. And so, clear aligner space just blew up as well. All right. Well, that actually leads into question number 2. I didn't even mean that. Look at the happy accidents today. If you could change one thing about your smile, what would it be?
I had a patient who didn't see well once tell me that I looked like George Clooney. So I realized that they need a better eye doctor, and I would go for the George Clooney smile.
Okay. All right. Well, for those of you just listening to audio, head over to the YouTube portion of the podcast, and we're about 23, 24 minutes in, and let's go thumbs up or thumbs down, whether or not we think that, Michael looks like George Clooney or not. I mean, I can see it. No, you don't want them to. You don't want them to do that. No, I get Brendan Fraser sometimes from certain angles. I get
Oh, I
Brendan
see
Fraser
that. Yeah,
sometimes, and I'm
yeah.
like, yeah, a little bit. I can see it a little bit, but not like a ton. When I do like the goatee, it does, but it doesn't come in fully enough. And it's from what was that one movie when the devil like tempted him? The one gal who was the devil. I can't remember the name of it.
I
Like
can't
15
remember.
years ago. I always
Yeah.
get it wrong. I always say it's She Devil, and it's not. She Devil was with Roseanne Barr. Anyway, see, you got me rabbit holing. You got me rabbit
Well,
holing
I'll tell
today.
you what.
See,
I
this
don't
is what
look like
happens.
I don't look like George Clooney, Greg, but that patient needed to put the glasses back on. They
Yeah,
did.
well, I mean, maybe it's a good thing that you know an optometrist or two. I got it
Exactly.
right. I said it
Exactly.
right. See, you just have to say it 3 times. It's like Beetlejuice, and he shows up. An optometrist shows up to help you with glasses.
That's so
Question number
funny.
3: if you could go back and be the inventor of any dental product, and no, you can't choose your own if you have one, which one would you choose, and why? He's
Sleep
very
apnea,
pensive and thoughtful on these questions. I don't know that
sleep
we've had
apnea
a
mouth,
guest like that.
the sleep apnea oral appliances.
Oh yeah, game changer.
Yep.
I have one. I have
Same.
one. That's why I'm still married to my husband, because
Mm-hmm.
I have one. Because I couldn't do like the Darth Vader mask.
Oh,
Yeah, I can't wait to see how that sounds like on the audio portion, because
it
I
sounds
listened
pretty
back to
solid.
him.
Yeah.
Was
Yeah.
that
It
good?
was,
Okay,
yeah,
yeah.
not bad. It
I
was
don't
May
know
the
that I've
4th
done that one
yesterday.
before.
It was May the 4th yesterday too. So
It
that's a nice
was May
tie-in.
the 4th yesterday. So now they'll know how far in advance I record these podcasts. Thank you for that, Dr. Michael Neal, for calling me out on
I
that.
just
Thank you.
doxed you.
Appreciate
Sorry about
that.
that. Yeah.
Calling me out. Well, Michael, in the last few minutes, I want to respect your time and my listening audience's time. Is
Mhm.
there anything I haven't asked you that you want to share with my listening audience before we say goodbye on this episode?
I think the way I would like to kind of wrap this up from my standpoint is for your listeners to take a look at the amount of stress they're under over the course of the day. I just had a big birthday recently, and I'm looking at life a little bit differently.
Well, I'm calling you out. Which one?
50.
Oh,
Yeah,
welcome to the club.
yeah. Is that the police birthday? I don't know, but yeah, had that birthday and starting to look at things a little bit differently. So, from a clinical standpoint, if you are frustrated with your team, if you're pulling your hair out, if you've stopped being a dentist and started being a professional cat herder and all the rest of that stuff, just know there's a different way to get these. Just a different way to live your life and walk into work with a vastly lower stress level. That's what happened to Amy and I in our practice when we changed how we were bringing the team members on, and it's the best thing we've ever done in our practice.
I mean, I don't think wiser words have been used to close the Two Sleuth podcast. I appreciate that for sure. And we talk a lot about wellness and health and mindset here on the Two Sleuth podcast. And so thank you so much. My guest today, Dr. Michael Neal, who's the founder and chief executive officer of Build My Team. If you're interested in reaching out and learning more, Michael, how would they do that?
Go to buildmyteam.com. Take a look at our website. Dental is our second largest market throughout North America. We are well versed in all the dental positions, and you schedule a consultation. Tell our team members what skeletons you have in the closet. Don't worry, we've heard it all, and we will make absolutely certain we can help your practice, or we simply won't move forward.
Amazing. And we'll make sure that gets in the show notes. Thank you so much,
Thanks.
Michael. It has truly been enlightening to hear more about how to improve and level up team members in your practice. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Greg.
If you need help with converting lead calls into consultations, closing consults into more full arch cases, or creating a more strategic marketing message and branding for your practice or group, follow me for more tips or reach out to G&A Consult for a discovery call today.